All right, so for making the enemy logic, what we need to do is we need to basically open this blueprint class, this basically character, which is going to be the enemy. So what we can do is we can go to the viewport and we need this thing called pawn sensing. Basically what a pawn sensing component, so what a pawn sensing component is that basically detects movement in front of it, like, or, wherever you want it to be. And if it detects movement there, or if it, hears any sounds or anything like that, it can sort of do any action that you want, right? So we're just going to click add right here and we're going to do pawn sensing right there, pawn sensing. And you can see that I'm just going to name it pawn sensing, leave it at default. And you're going to see that we have this sort of thing around our character, right? So this is basically, the green part is essentially the range in which it can sort of detect any sort of movement, right? So what we can do is we can basically change the angle of the peripheral vision. So you can see that if I reduce it, you're going to see that it's going to essentially just be able to look in a more narrow angle. I'm going to set it to something like maybe 80 degrees or something like that. I think it should be good. And so now if anything comes in that radius, in basically that angle of vision, it's going to essentially do any action. How exactly do we define the action? We see these events right here. You can see this on C pawn right here in the event section. We're going to click this. We're going to click the plus icon right here. And now it's going to take us to the event graph, and essentially anything we put in front of this, it's going to do that essentially whenever whenever they sort of see a pawn moving in front of him. So what we're going to do is that we are essentially just going to create a node called AI move to. What AI move to does is that basically it moves, it automatically moves whatever component you have in this. So basically our character is going to automatically move that character to some position that we want it to move, right? So it takes a couple of parameters inside. So the first one is going to be pawn, and that is obviously going to be the pawn itself. Like, what exactly do we want to move? So we want to basically just say self. Self is basically just like it's going to move itself, right? So that's that's where that comes from. Now we can either input a manual destination ourselves, or we can just tell it to follow a target actor. That's what we're going to do, is that because obviously the position of our character is going to keep changing, and we just wanted to like follow wherever the character is. So I'm just going to drag off of this, and I'm just going to say get player character. So what get player character does is that it essentially gets the character, the current character that we have, that we're using, that will be our Twin Blast, the main character that we have. It's just going to take the position of that, and it's going to move it right there. Okay. So if I compile it, but if I play it, you're going to see that it's not going to work. Even though, we're right in front of it, it's not going to work. The reason for that is because we need a nav mesh bound. So what a nav mesh bound is that it defines area in which these enemies can move, essentially. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to add right there. We're going to search for nav mesh bounds volume. Just add that in your scene, and you're going to see that we have this cube right here. So essentially, if you make this cube like super large, it's going to be able to move throughout the whole scene. But if you want an enemy to sort of be in a certain range, you can use this to sort of do that. However, we don't really want to do that. We're just going to scale it up enough so that it covers the whole scene. Just scale it up a little bit in all axes, just like that. And then we can just scale it up in the X and the Y axis, not in the Z axis, because we don't really need to. So something like that should be good. Make sure it covers your whole scene. And now let's see. Now hopefully it should. Yeah, you can see how it works. So if I run far away from it, you're going to see that it's going to keep following us like that. One of the problems that we're noticing is that it sort of goes inside our character, which is not something we want. To fix that, what we're going to do is that we're going to go back to the AI move to node. And here you can see acceptance radius. The higher this is, the more distance it's going to maintain from the character. So if I said this was something like 30, let's see if that's enough. So if I move ahead, you're going to see that it's still pretty inside. So I'm going to set it to something like maybe 150 probably. Let's see, hopefully it should be fine now. Well, let's make sure it's not too far away, Yeah, I think this distance is fine. Maybe a little closer. So something like maybe 120. That should be good. And yeah, you can see that 120 is the perfect distance because we want it to be at a distance from where it can at least, attack us. Perfect. So that is good. We can still go through it, which is a problem which we're going to fix later on. But for now, I think we should be good. And you can see that obviously as long as we're behind it, it's not really going to see us. But if we go inside a sort of bounds, it's going to start to follow us. Right now, obviously, it's not attacking us. So we're going to have to build the attacking functionality as well. But, you can see at least that it, follows us. So let's fix the problem of basically the character following us but not doing anything. So we need basically an attack animation, which is going to play whenever, it basically reaches our character. So for that, we can essentially go to our Morigesh, Paragon Morigesh, characters, heroes, and then there should be animations inside this. But I don't think we yeah, actually, so the problem is because we migrated the assets from the other project, it only migrated the assets that it needed, right? So we're gonna have to basically import the animation assets as well from that other project, the game animation sample project. So we're gonna have to go ahead and open the other project. Now I have it opening right here. Let's wait for it to open. But once it does, we can essentially just copy over the animations from the Paragon Morigesh. And then obviously, we can just apply the animation. It's going to be pretty straightforward, and it's not going to be hard at all. So yeah, let's wait for the other project to open. It's opened. And if I go to Paragon Morigesh here, you're going to see that if I go to characters, heroes, Morigesh, you're going to see that we have this animations folder right here. So inside the animation folder, you can see we have a whole bunch of animations here. Now, what you would think is that you would just want to select whatever animation that you want and just import that, sort of like just export that or migrate that to the other folder. But the problem is that with the animations, there are some dependencies. I think one of the dependencies is so like these blend spaces and all that stuff, and also some assets. I'm not sure. I can't really find them. But yeah, there are some assets which are like sort of used as dependencies. Yeah, I think one of them is this physics subgraph and stuff like that. So because of that, you need to sort of basically the requirement is that you need to migrate all the animations that come with this. Otherwise it's not really going to work fine. So what we can do is we can just take the whole Morigesh folder, right click this, and essentially just migrate this whole thing. What this is going to do is that it's going to take everything, all the animation assets and everything that we don't have in our current project, which it's just going to add all that stuff to that project, right? So it is going to take like a few more minutes, but yeah, I think it's going to be fine. So just go to your current project, content folder, and then select it like that. And obviously, a lot of things are already going to be present there. So just click no to override. And also it is going to take a bit. All right, so just got completed. And now what we can do is we can go back to the project. So now if I go inside the Morigesh folder, and if I go inside animations, you're going to see that all the animations that we have here that we had in the other project are also visible here as well. So I think from these, one of the animations that we need, I think the only animation that we need is going to be the attack animation. So probably this one, primary attack A slow. If I open this animation sequence and if I just play it, yeah, you can see that this is the animation, which looks pretty nice. So we're going to be using this. The way we use this is we can't really use the animation by itself. We need to make an animation montage out of this. So I'm just going to right click this. And essentially what we're going to do is that we're going to go to create. And here we're going to create an anim montage. We can just call it whatever we want, like, and just open it to make sure that it is still working fine, the animation. Now the reason why we need to do this is because we want to sort of merge multiple animations. So the reason for that is because obviously we're going to have the walking animations as well as the character is going to follow us, as the enemy is going to follow us. And when we want sort of this animation to play, we want this to sort of just be sort of sequenced with the walking animations as well, right? There's going to be a walking animation, character is going to stop, it's going to attack us, then it's going to continue walking again as well, right? So in that case, if we have an animation sequence, what that's going to do is that's not going to make all the other animations, the walking animations and everything else, it's not going to make it work. The only animation that's going to be playing is going to be this one right here. However, an animation montage, what it allows you to do is that it allows you to use other animations as well. So I hope it makes sense. But yeah, so even if you don't understand this, it's perfectly fine. All you need to know is we need to have an animation montage for this. So how exactly do we sort of make this animation play when the character comes close to us? We can go back to our blueprints folder. Here we can go inside the retargeted characters. And if you go inside Morigesh, you're going to see that we have this AI move to thing, right? So basically when this function is completed, when the enemy essentially reaches us, this thing right here on success, this execution pin is going to run. So what you want to do is you want to basically drag off of this and we want to say play anim, play anim montage. This is the thing right here, play animation montage. Make sure to not do play montage, make sure to do play anim montage. Perfect. And all we need to do is select go inside anim montage and select asset and basically just select the animation that we need. So it's going to be, I believe, this one right here, primary attack anim montage 1. This is the one that we created. So compile it, and now hopefully if we did everything right, it should work. However, you are going to notice a glitch right now, but let's just see. Let's make sure that everything works fine before actually fixing the glitch. So it's going to come to us, and you're going to see that it's going to attack us. However, right now the problem is that basically it just keeps attacking us an infinite amount of times. It just, there's like no sort of gap or like any sort of distance between the attacks. It just like, keeps attacking us, like keeps spamming the attack again and again, which is not something we want. We want it to like attack once, and then we want it to like take a break of like maybe 1 second or half a second or whatever, and then attack again, right? It would just make it look better. So to sort of implement that, what we need to do is we need to basically use a Boolean variable. So we need to essentially create a variable. So I'm just going to go to this side right here, click this plus icon, and we can, we're going to name this variable can attack question mark. So usually the way it goes is that the naming convention is that on variables in Unreal Engine 5, you usually add a question mark at the end, just to make it easier to like identify booleans. So the logic behind this is essentially the moment our enemy is going to move to the character, the main character, what it's going to do is that it's going to check if it can attack or no. And then if it can, if it's true, if this variable is true, it's going to basically play this animation. It's going to do one attack. After that, it's going to wait for 1 second and then sort of call this, basically sort of play this animation again, right? So the way it's going to work is that we are going to be dragging off of this and searching for a branch, essentially just adding a branch in the middle. So branch is an if statement. And then we can drag this variable right here, say get can attack. We can plug this into the condition. So like if this is true, then this is going to happen, right? We can also compile and make sure that the default value of can attack is set to yes or true, basically, because obviously when the character is initially like it hasn't attacked, obviously the default state is going to be that the character can attack, right? So once it attacks, right when the attack is sort of played, at that very moment we want to set the can attack variable. We can search this like that. Or another option of doing this, getting this node, is to just drag this variable right here and say set can attack. It's going to do the same exact thing, but yeah. So when it's attacking, it's going to set it to basically false, which is obviously going to make it so that it can't attack. And then after that, we are going to be adding a delay node. So this, I think, is a new node for you guys. So if you just search for delay, you can basically set a duration of however many seconds you want. I'm just going to set it to 1 second. And then after it is completed, we can set can attack back to true. I hope it makes sense. So what we're doing is that we're essentially checking if if it can attack. If it can, it's going to play the animation, launch an attack. After that, so the moment the attack is launched, this is going to be these two things that are essentially going to run at the same time. So the moment the animation is played, right after that, this is also going to be set to no. We're going to add a delay. After 1 second, it's going to be able to attack once again. So I really hope it works. Let's see. If you did everything right, it should work. And you can see that it works perfectly fine. So you can see that the animation is a lot better. So this is what it looks like right now. Let's see what it looked like before. I'll show you. So if I just go ahead and move all this up and essentially connect both of these and disconnect this. I'm holding control, by the way, to disconnect them. Now you're going to see that previously it was just, it was just spamming attack. So it looked pretty glitchy and looked pretty like, bad. But right now the system that we have is pretty nice. So just drag connect these back in like that. Perfect. And I think we are looking pretty good. Let's see. What do we need to work on next? I think the thing that we should work on next is basically actually, causing the damage to the player, because right now obviously he can keep attacking us and nothing is going to happen. So let's go ahead and add the damage, and we're going to have a health system for our main character. And so obviously when the health goes below 0, we're going to have to respawn the character. So let's go ahead and create a health variable for our main character. So I'm going to go back to the blueprint class of my Twin Blast, open it up, and we can go ahead and simply, all we need to do is we need to go to variables, click plus, and create a health variable. Now this is going to be an integer. The reason for that is because its integers are whole numbers, and so this health is essentially going to be a whole number. So yeah, once we have this health variable, we don't really need to do anything in here right now. What we need to do is we need to go back into our Morigesh character. We need to somehow make this attack also sort of cause damage to the other person. So the way we do that is we can we can like continue this in the same sort of line, but I think the better way or a more organized way of doing this in code will be to use a custom function. So what we can do is we can right click anywhere. We can say custom event. I use events and functions interchangeably, by the way. So yeah, at least at a basic level, they're essentially the same thing. Obviously, they are not the same thing. Like you also have functions right here, but at a very basic level, I think you don't really need to know the difference. And even if you call them interchangeably, I think it should be fine. But yeah, so what I'm gonna call this event is gonna be cause damage. I think my bad. I made a typo in the name, so I'll just fix that. Perfect. So in this, what we need to do is basically we need to sort of somehow cause damage to this. So the way you do that inside of Unreal Engine 5 is, and by the way, this is going to be a new node for you guys, so be sure to pay attention. I'm going to drag off of this and I'm going to say line trace by channel. What line trace by channel is that basically this sort of launches an attack on another person or on another sort of any character on in your game. And you need to essentially the main thing that you need to specify in this is that none of these are very important. The only two important parts are the start point of the attack and the end point of the attack. So what it's going to do is that it's going to cause damage to all the characters or basically everyone inside the range of these two basically, right? So we can just go back to our viewport and we need to set two main points which would sort of signify where the attack starts and where the attack ends, right? So what we can do is we can go to add and we can just search for an arrow. This is how it's usually done. You can obviously, use other, I think, shapes as well, but yeah, we're going to be using an arrow. So I'm going to be placing one arrow right here, somewhere right here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this start, right click it, duplicate it, and I'm going to call this one end. And I'm just going to be moving it ahead, something like that. So essentially our attack is going to be from this point right here to this point right here, which I think should be a good enough range, maybe a little ahead. I think this should be a pretty good range. All right. So once this is compiled, what we can do is we can go back to our event graph. We can then sort of just bring both of these inside the event graph, just drag them in. Also, by the way, you can drag anything from here just directly inside of your, what do you call it, your event graph, like even the camera, everything like that, you can just drag that in. But yeah, that's just like something that you should know. And so from this, we're going to drag off of this and we're going to say get socket location. So again, this is a new node for you as well. So what we're trying to do is that basically one second. So this basically this start object right here, we're going to essentially get the location of the socket, which I believe would be this. So we're just getting that location and then we're returning that value and just plugging that into the start of the attack. I hope that makes sense. I know this is a little confusing, especially for beginners. So even if you don't understand it, it's perfectly fine. But we're going to be doing the same thing with end as well. So get socket location, do that again and plug that into the end of the attack. Now this is usually the way it's done for attacking. You just sort of like need to understand the way this works. And even if it doesn't make complete sense to you and you're a beginner, that's perfectly fine. Just sort of know how, just sort of like learn how to like do this, and eventually, hopefully, along the way, you will obviously understand how this works as well. So now what I want to do is I want to actually visualize what this whole thing is doing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to draw debug type, and I'm going to say for duration. So what this is going to do is it's just going to sort of add like some visual markers where the attack is starting and where it's ending, just so we can, understand where it's attacking and how it works, just so we can visualize what exactly this whole thing is doing. But again, this thing is not going to be called by default. Your custom events that you create, like this event right here, they're not going to be called by default. We're going to have to call them by ourselves. So what we're going to do is that once the animation montage is played, before all this happens, basically we're going to move it ahead. We're going to drag off of this and we're going to say cause damage. So we're essentially just calling this cause damage event after the animation plays, but before, we do all this stuff. So this is the same as essentially just taking all this code and just like placing it right here. right? But it's just like, it just makes it simpler to read, and it just makes it, easier to sort of understand. And it makes your code more organized for other people to read as well. So yeah, let's just cross it out. Let's see how it works. Let's see if it works or not. You can see this red line right here. This is basically the attack. This is basically the sort of range of the attack. And I think it looks pretty good. Things works as intended. Perfect. So after this, what we want to do is that basically what this does is that this just like creates a line, and it doesn't really sort of apply the damage yet. So we're going to have to do that next. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to drag out off of this out hit thing, and I'm going to say break hit result. What this is going to do is that it's going to basically, if I just click that that thing right there, with this drop down menu, you're going to see that it's going to give you a whole bunch of options to sort of do things with that hit. What we're interested in is basically hit actor right here. Hit actor. If we just drag off of this and say apply damage, we can just essentially add this node which is going to apply damage, and then we can take the execution pin of this and just plug it into this. Now, I know this is a lot. I know this is a little confusing, so I'm going to be explaining it to you once again. However, even if you don't understand, trust me guys, it is completely fine if you don't understand this. This stuff is kind of advanced for beginners. Initially, this course was supposed to have even more, but this stuff is like pretty complex already, so I'm going to be removing some stuff. But just like you don't need to understand everything. It's like this course is generally one of the harder courses for game development, because I really want you guys to like learn a lot in a small amount of time. But also, if you don't understand anything, it's perfectly fine. What we're doing right now is basically we're taking essentially your attack. We're sort of breaking the result of this, and we're basically applying damage based on that. Now, how much damage do you want to cause? This that is decided by this thing right here, base damage. I'm just gonna say, for example, like 10. Our total hit points are going to be, I think, 100. Again, that's completely up to you. If you set them to be like, I don't know, 10,000, that's up to you as well. But what we want to do is we want to have the main character have a health of 100, and each attack should take about 10 from the health. So now this is all you had to do for the attack. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to cross this out and go back to our main character. Here, what we're going to do is that we're going to be creating an event called, if you right click it, we're going to be searching for any damage. So this event right here, event any damage, what this does is that this is basically going to be called whenever your actor takes any sort of damage, right? Which is exactly what's happening here, right? So what we want to do is that we want to basically, first I'm going to select health, and we're going to set the default value to be 100. But what we want to do is that we basically want to take the current health, and you want to subtract the damage from the health, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to search for this node called subtract. That's how you do math in this, by the way. You just search for operators. So subtract right here, it's going to give you this pin right here. I'm just going to be dragging in my health variable. Click get health. And so this health, I'm going to basically plug it into the higher one, because we want to take the health and subtract the damage out of the health. So, and then the damage I'm going to plug into the bottom one like that. Okay. So what we're doing is that we're taking the health, subtracting the damage from it. And what it's going to do afterwards is that it's going to basically, if I drag off this execution pin, it's going to set health again. And it's going to set this new value to be the health. I hope that makes sense. Also, by the way, one thing that you can do is instead of integer, we can also make it a float. So that's fine as well. So I'm just going to be changing the variable type. And it's just going to do this thing. Give it a second. Generally, it is not recommended to change variable types. So yeah, just don't try not to do that. But yeah, because this doesn't really matter. We should be good already. All right, perfect. So now we don't even need to truncate this. What we can do is we can just take the original value and just plug it into the health. Perfect. So I really hope this makes sense. What we're doing is that whenever your main character takes any damage, what we're doing is that we're taking its current health, we're subtracting the damage that it received from that. So for example, the initial health was 100. We're subtracting 10 from it. Let's say 10 was the damage. Our new health is going to be 90, right? So it's going to set the health to be 90 now. So yeah, it's pretty simple logic. I really hope it made sense. And also what we need to do is that we also need to make sure that the health is not below 0. So if it is, we're going to basically just make the character die. So let's go ahead and do that. So after that, we're going to be checking. So we're just going to say branch, right? The condition is going to be, I'm going to drag off the condition, and I'm going to write the greater than symbol on my keyboard. If I do that, it's going to give me this greater than operator. So now what we need to do is we need to get the health. Okay. get health, plug it into one of them. Is the health greater than 0? If it is, if it's true, it's going to do nothing. But if it's false, that means the health is less than 0, right? Then what we're going to do is that we're going to basically make the character die. The way you do that is by clicking destroy actor, all right? So what we're doing is that whenever any damage occurs to the character, we're going to be first subtracting the damage from, the health, setting the new health. After that, we're going to check if the health is below 0 or not. If it is below 0, the character is going to be destroyed. If not, then then basically nothing's going to happen, right? So character will be still alive. So let's see if it works or not. Just for demonstration's sake, I'm going to set the health to something like 30 so that we die in 3 shots, so that, we don't need to like wait that long to die. Also we need to be in the line of attack, obviously. So nothing is happening. That means we are not really dying. Okay, interesting. So it doesn't work. Let's go ahead and find the problem and let's fix it. So you can see that nothing really is happening even though we're in the line and we're being hit by the character. One simple way to like fix this is basically to go inside your Twin Blast blueprint. And one problem that I found was causing this was if you select the Twin Blast mesh, you can go down to collision, or you can just search for collision up there. If you write COLL, it should come up. You're gonna see that collision enabled. It says no collision. All you need to do is basically you need to do collision enabled. So if you do this, if you compile this, now you can see that the damage is being made. The reason why you know that is because the line here. One second, if I just press my Windows key to get out, you can see that the line here would be green. If I move in the line, you can see that it becomes green, and after some time, our character dies, so that we lose control as well. So it's working perfectly fine. The only thing that I don't like is the fact that because we're using line trace, you can see that we need to be in the line, and what we can do is we can essentially just stand somewhere here. Character will still keep hitting us, but we're not going to take any damage, so that's obviously broken. So one thing that I found was if I go inside the Margish blueprint again, instead of using the line trace, what we can do is we can use sphere trace. So this is something that I recently found myself as well. So if I just search for sphere trace by channel, if I add this, and if I replace basically this with this, like we're gonna plug everything in the same spot. All we need to do is we just need to like disconnect these first. Let's disconnect all of them. Pressing and holding control, by the way, and just dragging over them is gonna disconnect them. Let's move this somewhere here. We're going to keep this for now, just in case, we need to use it again. But yeah, add the sphere trace and just plug this in like that. Put the start value, the end value, and also connect this pin and also the out hit to the break hit result, sorry. And the draw debug type, we're going to set it to for duration for now, just so we can, see how it looks. And now if you go ahead and see, it's still line for some reason. Oh yeah, the reason for that is because the radius is set to 0. So in order to like actually make it a sphere, you need to increase the radius. So I found that something like 30 was a good value. So I'm going to set it to 30. And if you go back again, you're going to see that now it's actually a sphere. And no matter, where we are in this, it is always going to be hitting us. Even if we, move to the side a little bit, it is still going to continue to hit us. Perfect. So that works. And we are dying as well. However, we are noticing a whole bunch of problems right now. So one of the problems is the fact that there's no like reaction animation. Like our character's just standing there and then it just disappears after some time. So that's no good. We need 2 main animations. One animation is going to be a hit react animation. So if the character gets hit, we should like sort of take some damage and just, we should just, add a reaction animation. And the second animation would be a dying animation. So, when the character dies, you should just, like drop down to the ground and like, have like a dramatic dying animation. All right. So, that would be nice. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So for that, obviously we need the animations first, like those specific animations. And for that, you have a couple of options. So one option that you have is actually importing an animation from Mixamo. You can import an animation and you can retarget that. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. However, there's another approach as well, which I found to be easier. So you know how this Margish character has a whole bunch of animations. What we can do is we can take one of the animations from this character and retarget it to this character. and basically use that. So I'm going to teach you how to do that first, and after that I'm also going to show you how to import animations from Mixamo, just in case you want to have a different animation, or you want to just have like a different sort of animation. Yeah. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go to our Paragon Marigesh folder, go to characters, heroes, Marigesh, and go to animations. Here you're going to see a whole bunch of different animations. So the one that we're interested in is going to be the death animation, or like the dying animation. So it's this one right here. Death is called death. And if I open it, you're going to see that it's this very dramatic death, which I think looks pretty good. We might have to slow it down a little bit because I think it's a little too fast, but we can probably do that later. So with this, what we're going to do is that we're going to retarget this to our Twin Blast character. So I'm just going to right click this, and you're going to see that we have an option called retarget animations. If I just open this, it's going to ask us to select a target skeletal mesh, which is obviously going to be our Twin Blast mesh. So you can see SKM Twin Blast Action Hero. This is our mesh. And so you can see that it looks fine. You can move around and make sure that the skeleton and everything looks good. And the posture is nice. Okay. So once we have done this, we can just go ahead and select the animation that we want to basically just retarget right here. So we're going to see death. So make sure that is selected. With that selected, we can just click export animations. Once we do that, we can basically just go ahead and save them inside of I'm thinking, where should I save it? I'm just going to create a new folder, right click content folder, name it anims, just like for now. I'm going to save it inside this folder right here. So click export, export once again. And now you're going to see that if I play this animation sequence, that it looks pretty good. And it's basically our very own Twin Blast character. So with that same animation. So again, we can directly apply this animation to our character. We're going to have to create an animation montage. So right click this, click create animation montage, and it should be fine. This name should be fine. Make sure to save everything, and then we can go ahead and basically go back to our content folder, actually our blueprints folder, go to our retargeted characters, go to Twin Blast. And here, basically, once we are essentially trying to destroy the actor, before that, we're just going to play an animation, and then we're going to destroy the character. So let's just move this ahead a little bit. And let's drag from this false pen again so that we can add a node in the middle. And we're going to call this node that we're adding is basically play animation montage. So play anim montage is where we're going to add this node right here. In the anim montage, we're going to select death. We're going to search for death montage and make sure the death montage of your character is selected. The reason why I had two, by the way, was because I was trying this, like before I was recording this tutorial, I was trying it out to make sure that it works. That's why I have two. You should have one, obviously, like if you're just doing this for the first time. So compile this and let's play the game. So you can see that also the graphics look pretty bad right now. So that's probably because of some, what do you call it? Probably because of some optimization thing. What we can do is we can just restart Unreal Engine to make this better, but I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to do that later on. For now, I think it should be fine. We don't really care about it. What we do care about is the fact that it doesn't really play the animation. It still disappears. So reason for that is because the moment this animation is being played, right? So this node essentially ends when the animation starts, right? The job of this is not to sort of hold everything and just like keep the animation playing. And when the animation is done, then it's going to continue. It's not like that. It just plays the animation and it moves on. So the moment the animation is played, it moves on and then it destroys the character. It's not going to be holding the character while the animation is playing, right? So what we need to do is we need to manually add a delay node. And in this, you can like set the delay to like however many seconds you want, or you can take this return value and plug it into the duration so that this return value is essentially the duration of the animation. So it's going to add a delay for however many seconds the animation is lasting. So that makes it pretty, useful. Let's see now if I play it, and you're going to see if I die it, you're going to see that we have the death animation and it goes. But right now, one problem that we have is the fact that it goes up and then it came back for some reason, like it sort of snapped back to its original position. So that's why we're not really going to be using this return value, because it's like a little longer sometimes, but like, it's kind of weird. So we're just going to set it to like manually. We're going to like do some trial and error and like see what value works. And also the play rate, I'm going to set this to something like 0.7. So that's just going to make the speed 70%. And it's going to like make it slower. Let's see how it looks. So and you can see the death animation, and it goes. So I think it looks pretty decent. Obviously we could have a better animation here. And I'm going to show you how to sort of add an animation from a custom animation from Mixamo, but I think this one looks pretty nice as well. It just gets sucked up and I think it looks pretty interesting. So definitely a little different than, you know, what you normally see in games, but I think it's still pretty interesting. So now I'm going to be showing you guys how to add animations from Mixamo. The process is going to be basically the same. Like just the only process that is different, the only part of the process that is different is importing the animation, but like applying the animation, creating the animation montage and retargeting and all that stuff, it's basically the same. So let's go ahead and import the animation from Mixamo. So for that, we're going to have to go to mixamo.com. Just go to the mixamo.com and just log in with your Adobe account. After that, once you're here, you go to animations. So what we can do is we can just go to the animations tab and we can search for death. Now the thing is, most of them are going to be holding a weapon. So that's not something we want. We want a death, which is, you know, from a neutral standing pose. So this animation right here seems to be pretty good. Also, don't worry if your character is not the same. Obviously, it's not going to be the same because I imported this myself. And this character doesn't really matter. The rig is going to be the same for all of them. So yeah, just don't worry about that. Also, just select this animation. Once you have this selected, what you can do is you can click download, and then what we're going to do is that we're going to select FBX. Make sure to do that. Be sure to click with skin, so that's important. Frames per second, you can do 30 or 60. I'm going to go with 60. Keyframe reduction, none, just set it to the default, and then click download. Now you're going to have to give it a second before it downloads. So yeah, it's already done. It's not even that bad. Let's go back to Unreal Engine for now, for 1 second. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be creating a new folder. In the content folder, I'm going to be calling it animations underscore retargeting. Okay, just to like have like sort of a folder which is, you know, just to like keep things organized, I guess. So let's go back to the browser and let's import this animation. Just drag it in to your content browser. You can just set everything to default. Just click import. And once it is done, you're going to have to see. So now this character, the Spider-Man character that I have, you're probably not going to have this character because it might be the default Mixamo character, or if you uploaded any other character, it's probably going to be that one. But I already did import, but I used this Spider-Man character before, so that's why I have this. But it shouldn't really change anything. All you need to do is you need to select the animation, open it. So the animation sequence, you need to just open that and make sure it works fine. I think it does. And so the rest of the process is going to be the same basically that we just covered before. Just right clicking this and retargeting the animation and then creating an animation montage and applying it the same way that we did before. So I'm not going to be showing you guys that again because I don't want to waste you guys' time. It's the same process, like just do it again with this and it should hopefully work fine with this as well. So if you look at the current state of our game, I think we're coming together pretty well. So we have a whole character system. We can walk around and stuff like that. We have a timer system. We have an enemy that follows us and that attacks us. And after, you know, a couple of attacks, we die. Obviously, like right now, the reason why we die so quickly is because I reduced the health of our character like on purpose, so that, you know, we don't like have to waste that much time in like, you know, testing out the death animations and all that stuff. We're going to be increasing that later on. So I think overall we're doing pretty well. However, we have some major problems. So I went ahead and made a whole list of the problems that we have right now. One of the problems that we need to sort of fix, or like the thing that we need to do next is we need to add an attack sound. So like whenever the enemy hits us, we should have like a sword sound effect or like, you know, some sort of sound effect which like, you know, sort of is going to make the animation look better. That's number one. Number two is that we need to add an attack reaction animation on our character. So right now you can see that when we're attacked, we don't really move at all. We just do nothing, right? So we're going to have a sort of animation that is played when our character is hit. So that's something we're going to do. Another thing we don't want to do is we want to display the health on our screen. So obviously right now we don't really keep track of our health on the screen. So we need to do that as well. Just like the time remaining, we should also have the health like somewhere here. So we can do that as well. And also we need to fix the you lose and you win screen. So right now you're going to see that if with like, let's say we run out of time, right? What's going to happen is that it's going to show us, I'm just going to wait for the time to run out. So, you know, oh, the character is also following us. But I'm just going to wait for it to complete. Yeah, you can see that we see the you lose screen. However, nothing really happens. Like the game doesn't end. It doesn't like restart the level or anything like that. And so that's obviously a problem, right? what we need to do is we need to sort of restart the game after we lose, and similarly after we win the game as well. Like even if we win the game, we should still be able to like sort of just give the player an option to like either free roam or just start the game again, or like anything like that. So um, those are some of the things that we need to fix. And also once we die by getting hit too many times, it shouldn't just be stuck here. It should also give you an option of sort of restarting the game and all that stuff, right? So there's some logical errors in this game, some logical problems that we need to address. But apart from that, I think we're going pretty well. And also one thing we need to do is we need to get rid of this Unreal Engine logo, and we need to add like a spaceship or something like that there, and just work on some finishing touches as well. So just so we can make this game look a lot better and like take it to the next level, right? But so far, if you've been following this tutorial so far, I'm really proud of you. You've made insane amounts of progress in such a short time, and I'm really really proud of you guys. So congratulations on making it this far. I know this course wasn't that easy to follow like so far, but trust me, like most of the hard part is over. Now it's just some basic tweaks and basic fixes and all that stuff, and then we're gonna be before you even know it, we're gonna be done with this. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching it this far, and I hope you continue this course.